Today we're going to talk about static ropes. Static ropes are really a unique product, and we have a lot of people calling us asking for these, and there's a lot of questions about what static ropes are, what they're not. So we're going to answer those questions right now. Static ropes are something we do a lot of at Knot and Rope Supply. Right now we're back here in the shop, and this is one of the racks where we store static rope. We stock this in a lot of different sizes and a lot of different colors, but typically on the spools we keep them on 1,200 foot lengths, which means you can get whatever length you need and really whatever color you want from Knot and Rope Supply. But what makes a static rope compared to some other ropes? What does static mean? Basically what it means is that static ropes don't stretch as much as other ropes. They're a low stretch or no stretch type of rope. Sometimes that can be helpful, sometimes it can be a detriment. But typically these ropes are used in places like law enforcement and fire and rescue. Arborists use these ropes quite a bit, or anyone that would need a rope without a lot of stretch. These are a great choice. You can see we've got a lot of colors here. A lot of different variety there. However, static ropes typically in the industry come in very few sizes. The two sizes that you'll find most commonly are 7/16 or 1/2 inch. The reason why that is because most people that use these ropes are using them for the safety and rescue or rock climbing type of application, where they're using ascending gear or they're using descending gear like figure eights to access going up and down the rope. So for that reason, these sizes are the most popular, and they're strong enough to hold you. So a typical rope like this could be in the 5,000 to 6,000 pound range. So if you're climbing on a rope like this, it's more than strong enough to hold your weight using that ascending gear or descending gear. One question we get a lot is what makes a static rope different than a dynamic rope? What are some of the differences between them? So on this table right here, we laid out 4 common static ropes just to show you what makes it a static rope. Really the big thing is, if you're to look at the core of all these ropes, the one thing they have in common is the parallel strands. When this type of construction is employed in the design of a rope, when the linear force is applied to it, it doesn't stretch much. There will be a little bit of stretch on here, but very, very little compared to dynamic ropes. Sometimes the ropes will actually have a tag inside which tells you when the rope was made, who made it, and what type of fibers are in there. And getting back to what you heard earlier, since these ropes are used in the safety and rappelling and arborist market, having that sort of traceability is something that a lot of people like, and some of these ropes do have those in there. We carry ropes from the top mills in America like New England Ropes and Sterling and Atlantic Braids, so there's really some high quality products in here. The other thing that you can see on the jacket type of construction is a much tighter braid than other types of ropes. This is what they call a 48 carrier design. It's very, very tight braid, and it's very, very tough and tenacious. Now it's not as tight, it's not as thick as some other arborist ropes like a 24 strand or 16 strand rope. However, they do the job, and that type of tight cover on there helps contribute to the strength and low stretch of the rope. One thing to note, however, if you are an arborist and you plan on using this in a tree where the rope is constantly running over branches and things, then definitely you would want to consider something like a pulley or cambium saver to protect the rope. By comparison, I put a couple ropes here to show you some of the differences between the static rope and other ropes that are very dynamic, meaning they have a lot of stretch. This is a double braid nylon. This is a 3-strand nylon. And as you can see here, if you look at the core of the double braid nylon compared to the core of the static rope, you'll see it's a braided core that works in conjunction with the braided jacket. With the 3-strand rope, there's no core, but the construction of this is almost like a spring, where if you were pulling it, there's a lot of stretch to this. That doesn't mean that these two ropes aren't very good. In fact, in some cases, having that stretch on the rope is very important. For instance, if you're going to make a dock line, these make great ropes because there's shock absorption in there to absorb the pressure that's on the rope to protect your boat, let's say. But if you want something where there's no stretch, obviously you'd want to go with the static rope. One thing that you notice with these, I talked about the jacket earlier. The jacket on these is a much tighter braid. On this one right here with the double braid nylon, after cutting it, you can see how that braid opens up pretty easily, and that's by design. This rope can be spliced by hand. This rope can be spliced by hand. One thing to note is that these Kern Mantle static ropes cannot be spliced by hand. They can be stitch spliced, which limits their ability to get terminated on the end a little bit. However, we can still do it. But with these, you get that nice hand splice option, which is very, very popular. So for all your static rope needs, give us a call at Knot and Rope Supply. We have technical experts that are happy to discuss any sort of requirements that you have with your static ropes. We've got lots of different colors, and we work with the best mills in America to get you any kind of static rope that you're looking for. Thanks.